CASA is short for Court-Appointed Special Advocates, which basically means that there's a community-trained volunteer, and that volunteer advocates for a foster child in court. So right now we serve the most abused and the most neglected of foster children. So a CASA will spend time with that child, get to know that child, whereas a caseworker or a parent or even a foster parent may be in and out of that child's life. I was 10 and I was put into foster care when I was living in Colorado. I was born here in Ohio, but we moved out to Colorado, and my mother became dependent on alcohol. And I was put into care, and I immediately received a CASA when my case was opened. And she was on my case for 1.5 years until my case was closed. At first, our relationship began really slowly because I had a hard time trusting her. I was having a hard time. But my CASA, her name is Stephanie, just like my sister's, she just kind of listened. I felt like I was her first priority. She always was there every Monday to pick me up from school, and we would go have a picnic or we would go to the library. She bought me a diary so that I could really express my thoughts, even if I couldn't express them verbally to her. You know, and of course the most important thing is when she went to court for me, and she was honest. And the stability of our relationship made the judge really trust what she said. Sharing my story is really a cathartic experience for me, and it helps me kind of deal with some of the emotions that I have, but it also hopefully helps other kids. I was working at Regis as a receptionist, and I overheard someone talking about CASA, and I was like, wait, CASA's nationwide? I had thought it was just in Colorado. And the woman that was talking about it was actually the director of the board of directors of CASA Franklin County. I left, and a few days later, Michelle called and she said, we want you to continue to be involved. And over the next few months, it evolved that I was going to speak at the 2008 breakfast. So they do one large fundraiser every year, which is the Speak Up for Children breakfast. So I spoke about my experience with my CASA and how important it was to me, and then, you know, just kind of hoping that she would hear about it, that maybe, you know, I could give back to CASA in the way that she gave back to me. And fortunately, she found me, and then we actually spoke at another event that same year together in Colorado, and then I've done 3 or 4 more events since then, the most recently, of course, being the National CASA conference this year, at which I gave the closing address. I was so honored to speak in front of everyone that was there because they have such powerful voices and are just so inspiring for me. And we were invited to go back for next year to the next year's conference, which is in Washington, D.C. We're going to do an event called CASA Meets Congress. And Michael Pirano, the CEO, the head of CASA, asked me to speak to Congress. So I'll be doing that next June. And I'm so excited, and I feel so motivated to do more advocacy work. And I find myself continually inspired to do the work, because until the day that we don't have any more foster children, until we eliminate abuse and neglect in the United States, we're going to need CASA around.